Mistakes are so often seen as bad things, but should this really be the case? I mean, yes, a lot of things that were mistakes were not too great, but still. Think of all the discoveries that were made by mistake. Microwaves, penicillin, Play-Doh, cornflakes, and superglue were all discovered by mistake. And of course, famously, Columbus mistaked the new world he found as Asia. I know I wouldn't be where I am now without the mistakes I made beforehand. We can learn from our mistakes. However, we aren't learning from our mistakes today, but more learning about a mistake. That mistake being the name of the island nation of Madagascar. If your knowledge of Madagascar comes solely from the series of films, then fear not, as I was in that same boat too before getting to work on this video. Those films depict Madagascar as an island of just wilderness and jungles and dancing animals. The island nation has a human population of 26.2 million, and the island is the 4th largest island on our planet at over 226,000 square miles. And of course, the island is home to amazing wildlife, from tiny reptiles to top predators, and of course, it's the only place in the world to find lemurs in their natural habitat. Despite being so big and so populated, it's actually only been settled by us humans in fairly recent history, some arguing that it was settled just 500 years ago, while others believed it was settled way before that. Because of this, there doesn't seem to be a native name for the island before it was discovered by the rest of the world, though some sources told me that possibly earlier natives did have names for specific parts of the island, though I couldn't find any of those specific names out there on the wider web. The native language of Madagascar, Malagasy, doesn't contain the letter C, which is a bit of an issue as there's a C tucked away in the name Madagascar. Because of this, the Malagasy name for Madagascar is Madagascar, with the C being replaced with a K, making it a name that was introduced by non-natives but then adapted into the native language. So how did a country that's language doesn't contain a C end up with a C in its name? There are a lot of theories about how the name Madagascar came to be. The one we are going to be looking into, however, relates back to the whole issue of Madagascar being named by mistake, and for this mistake we have to thank Marco Polo. When Marco Polo was sailing, he saw the island, and he didn't know this was a whole new island he was looking at, but instead he thought it was part of Somalia, specifically the port and capital of the country, Mogadishu. Because of this, the island was labelled with the same name as this city, Mogadishu, which eventually was corrupted into Madagascar. However, once this mistake was realised, the name had been cemented for the island. So how did this city end up with its name? There seems to be a few ideas, from it coming from the Arabic Muqaddas, meaning holy, to it meaning the seat of the Tsar, or abattoir for sheep. The city is also known as Hamar, so perhaps in another world the island of Madagascar could have ended up being called Hamar too. However, it's the name Madagascar that the island ended up being called by, cementing another mistake in the history books. Madagascar was suggested by Rodney Smith, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's Patreon saint of Madagascar. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Name Explain depends on small monthly donations from fans like you to help keep the channel running. Just the small amount of $2 a month helps out in a huge way, grants you patron exclusive Name Explain extras, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.